Hi guys, welcome to the channel. This is What If Goku Was in Fairy Tale. Before we start, remember to like and subscribe to help the channel. Also check the description for the creator of the fanfic. Chapter 5. A Fierce Rivalry. Goku grit his teeth, struggling with all his might as he stared down his latest foe. A is for aptly. Goku read off the small children's book that was challenging him with its colorful pictures and difficult words. His struggle had begun when Urza had learned that he had absolutely no ability to read. Urza had declared that this was a critical skill for any mage and that he would learn to do so. The young knight had dragged him to the guild library to try and teach him herself. This plan had not worked. It turned out Urza did not possess much skill in reading herself, the Tower of Heaven being largely ineffective at providing children with an education. What she had learned prior to being captured had begun to fade away, and she was left struggling with her incomplete recollection. They had almost gotten through the alphabet before Goku decided that he was bored, and that the food the guild was serving looked much more entertaining. The subsequent argument had drawn the attention of the only other person in the library. A short, blue-haired girl, looking about a year or two younger than them, had come over and introduced herself as Levi McGarden. Then she asked if they needed help. I am trying to teach this scatterbrained idiot how to read. Hey, don't blame me, reading and words are boring. I already told you that being able to read is a critical skill. Why? I can't punch people with words. Actually, Goku, Levi had interjected, words can actually be quite powerful. Powerful? That had gotten his attention. Yes. Using the power in words is actually the foundation of my magic. So you actually punch people with words? Not really, here let me show you. The girl smiled and waved her hands in the air. A word appeared in the air which then shifted into a ball of light, illuminating the shelves around them with a soft glow. My magic is all about language and words. The word I wrote was the word for light, so that's the form my magic took. Now watch what happens when I combine it with the word for dance. She waved her hand again. Another word appeared and was sucked into the glowing ball, which began to zoom around the room, bouncing off of books and shimmying up the side of bookcases. By understanding words, and what they mean, I can create almost any kind of effect I want. Cool. So you can make anything you want, even food. Well, yes I can, but the magically created food is never as tasty or as filling as real food, it just tends to be empty calories. But, if you learn how to read, then you can read menus at restaurants. It will be easier for you to get food that way. So I can get more food if I learn how to read. Well, that does sound good, but it's still a lot of work. Well, how about we play a game with it? I can use my magic to make some of the things you are reading, help make things interesting. That sounds really cool. Could you make a dinosaurs like the ones back by my home? They are really fun to play with, and they taste really good. Dinosaurs. Levi blinked. Where did you say you come from? The mountain. Anyway, I can't really make big things like that. What I can make is limited to how much energy I have. I'm not very strong, so I can't really make big objects. She waved her hands to demonstrate. A word formed in the air before forming into a bunny-sized T-Rex that gave a squeaky roar and started chasing the ball of light around the table. That sounds fun. Why don't we make it a trade? You teach me how to read, and I help you train and get stronger. Really? That sounds great. They shook hands to seal the deal. So how far have you gotten? We had just gotten the letter W, said Urza. Why is it called W, when it looks like two V's? Shouldn't it be called double V? Be quiet, Goku. Urza smiled as Goku slowly continued to work through new words. When he finally was able to piece together apple, Levi magically created a few of the red fruits, and the trio enjoyed a brief snack break. They ate in silence while watching the antics of Levi's tiny T-Rex. The mini dinosaur had finally caught the ball of light and eaten it, only for the magic of the light to combine with it, causing the lizard to start glowing and moonwalking across the table. When the food was finished, Urza excused herself, leaving the two to their reading lesson. She made her way towards the main doors. The red-haired girl left the guild and began strolling down the street. As she walked, the smile began to fade from her face. She kept walking for several minutes, finally stopping when she reached the river bank right on the edge of the town. She slowly sat down, curling up into herself, gazing down into the running water. When she had been on the road, she had bottled everything up, first focusing on survival, then helping her friend. When she was in the guild, she just hid how she felt. She didn't want to give anyone any reason to ask about her past. Goku was naive enough not to question the condition he found her in, and probably didn't even consider it important enough to bother mentioning to anyone else. But every once in a while, she just needed to find time to be alone. Time to stop holding back, and just let everything go. Her eyes watered as she thought back to the events at the tower, back to Jalal's betrayal, and the look on the faces of her friends as she was forced to leave them behind to save their lives. Those looks stayed with her, keeping her up at night and haunting her during the day. For the third time since joining the guild months ago, Urza cried. It was another 10 minutes before she collected herself, forcing herself to her feet once more. The mask of calm returned, and the young girl began making her way back towards the guild. As much as it hurt, and as much as she hated herself for not getting the rest of the slave workers out of the tower, she would not allow it to affect her new life. She would mourn her friends, but she would not let her grief control her. There was little she could do to help them. She had new friends now, new people to care about. A new home. No matter what, she would not allow herself to fail twice. She just couldn't. Ice make. Hammer. Gray launched a sledgehammer of ice at the white-haired girl, letting out a grunt of anger as she ducked under the blow. The grunt turned into a cry of pain when she dashed forward and landed a hard kick to the gut. He doubled over from the blow, but he was quick to bring his hands back up towards his smirking opponent. Ice make. Can-erk. Before he could blink, the girl closed the distance, landing a massive punch across his jaw that sent him sprawling on the ground. He slowly tried to rise to his feet, but his arms gave out when she slammed her foot into his back. Ha, that was pathetic. It's a good thing we came to this guild when we did, otherwise who knows just how weak it would be. What do you think, Elfman? Listen, are we really sure we want to join up with such a weak group? The girl turned to face two more white-haired kids, both looking down meekly. Kana stood just beside them, shocked at how easily Gray had been defeated. Her hand slowly reached towards her pack of cards, hoping to be able to help her friend. Unless you want to join your buddy on the ground, I really wouldn't do that. Kana's eyes widened with fear as the girl turned to glare at her, shivering under the killing intent. Lysina stepped forward, placing herself between the scared girl and her sister's wrath. Come on, Mirajane, big sis, we want to join up with them, not beat the entire guild into submission. But I bet it will be a lot easier for us once everyone knows that we are the top dogs. But speaking of joining up, where do you suppose the guild master is hanging out? I want to get my mark, I already know just where I want to put it. Below her, Gray was slowly trying to push himself up, his body shaking from the exertion. Mirajane felt the movement below her and ground in her heel. Just give it up down there, it's obvious that you're outmatched. Maybe if you ask real nice I'll let you up. I think you should let him up right now. The three white-haired kids turned to see Goku and Levi exiting the library. Levi backed away, anxiously looking at the growing confrontation, but Goku's face was completely impassive. His eyes were locked with Mirajane's, completely unflinching as he stared her down. The girl matched his gaze evenly, then barked out a laugh. Oh, another weakling crawling out of the woodworks. Come on, short stuff, I've already beaten your buddy, what makes you think you'll do any better? To her surprise, Gray was the one to answer with a laugh of his own. He'll do better, he beat me too. He's strong enough to beat you too. Mira looked over the spiky-haired boy with a critical eye, observing his build, his stance, his posture, and the challenge that seemed to blaze in his eyes. Yeah, I don't buy it. He looks like a complete wimp, and that look on his face makes him look like a complete moron. Bet that's why you were hanging out with that little nerdy girl hanging out behind you, taking some remedial lessons. I was learning how to read. Learning how to. Oh geez, you really are a complete idiot, aren't you? This won't even be a fight, it's a mercy beating. Maybe if I smack you around hard enough I'll be able to knock something loose in your head. You would do well to stop harming and insulting my friends, before I am forced to make you stop myself. Mirajane rolled her eyes as she tilted her head to face the entrance of the guild. You guys are just crawling out of the woodworks now, huh? And a ginger this time, fun. I have to ask though, what's with the armor? Are you that desperate to hide your body from everyone, you so ugly that you don't want to give anyone a good look? As opposed to you dressing up wearing your little sister's shirt. In case you are too dim to figure it out on your own, that shirt doesn't fit you. Hey, who do you think you are, talking to me like that? My name is Urza Scarlet, and I will not stand for you doing anything to my friends. Mirajane looked down at Gray, then with a sneer on her face she released him, marching over to get right up in Urza's face. Got pretty pathetic friends, for them to have to rely someone like you to stand up for them. Between the wimpy snowman and your brain-dead boyfriend, a wannabe Amazon must get the leadership pretty easy. She turned to look over at Goku, who had dashed over to help Gray to his feet. What do you think, dumbass? Why are you following around the tin can? Is it just because you are too dumb to know any better? Or maybe you are hoping for some future development with her, Goku ignored her for a moment, handing Gray off to Kana to make sure that he was taken care of. Then he turned to face her, his expression hard. I may not be very smart, I don't even understand everything you just said. But I don't like people who mock my friends. You may be stronger than everyone else in the guild, you may not be, but everyone here is my friend. If you are joining the guild, then you three are going to be our friends too, so you shouldn't act like this. Why don't you just calm down, and we can go find Master Makarov so you guys can join? Are you kidding me? Why should I be friends with you guys, just like that? You want to be friends, you have to earn it. Right now all I see is a bunch of losers who aren't even worth it. Goku opened his mouth to reply, but before he had a chance to say anything, Urza moved. Goku had extended an olive branch, and this little witch had thrown it right back in his face. That was unacceptable. With a growl she grabbed Mirajane's shoulders, spinning her around so they were face to face. Enough. I will not allow you to speak like this any longer. If you want me to stop so bad, make me. If you insist. Urza's armored fist slammed Mirajane's jaw, sending her tumbling to the ground with a resounding clang. The white-haired mage quickly rolled to her feet, charging forwards and decking Urza with equal force. Mira chased after Urza as she tumbled backwards, kicking out at the red head. Urza brought up a gauntlet-covered arm to block the blow, smirking at Mirajane's curses when her toes smashed up against the unyielding metal. The enraged girl was quick to retaliate, knocking the swordswoman's legs out from under her and then falling on top of her, pinning her to the ground. Before Urza could shake her off, Mira began pounding on her, forcing the redhead to throw her arms up in a desperate attempt to protect her head. Power pole, extend. Mira let out a surprised yelp as the magical red staff slammed into her side, knocking her off of Urza and slamming her into the wall. Urza was quick to return to her feet, turning to glare at Goku. Do not interfere. But you were in trouble, I was helping out. I do not want help. This is my fight, let me do this on my own. Mirajane rose to her feet, glaring angrily at the martial artist. You heard her, this is a one-on-one. Butt out. Go play with your loser friends or something, this is none of your business. Goku looked between the two girls and nodded, backing out of the way. Urza gave a nod of appreciation, grabbed a nearby chair, and spun around to smash it over Mirajane's head. The girl crashed to the ground with a groan, clutching the growing lump on the top of her skull. What are you morons doing to my guild hall? Everyone froze, one by one slowly turning up towards to see Master Makarov glaring down at them from the second-floor balcony. Urza looked around guiltily. She and Mirajane had broken many tables and chairs, smashing each other around, and some of the older guild members had positioned themselves off to the corners of the building, watching the spectacle. Not to mention she was still standing over the fallen Mirajane with a chair held over her head. There would be no ducking responsibility here. My apologies, Master. We're having a discussion and things got out of hand. Makarov snorted, looking between Urza and Mirajane, then at the chair in Urza's hands. The young knight followed his gaze, and then hastily put the chair down. That much is obvious. However, my question is, why are you fighting someone who is visiting this guild? Urza hesitated for a moment, and Mirajane took the opportunity to speak up. We aren't just visiting, we are trying to join up. I wanted to see how powerful some of the guild members were, see how you guys stack up. Oh ho, a challenge then. Tell me, what did you think? Mira looked around the guild, taking in the damages and the people gathered around her. A smirk graced her face as she looked back up towards the small man. Well, they all look like idiots, but at least they like to fight, one or two of them can even pack a punch. I think I can speak for my siblings when I saw that this is a place we can call home. I speak for myself though when I saw that I'm going to enjoy kicking Ms. Tin Can around all the time. Makarov quickly raised his hand, cutting off Urza before she could retort. I'm sure you'll have plenty of time for that later, though I hope that while you are beating each other senseless, you at least attempt to develop some sort of friendship. Now what do you say we make it official, and give all three of you the mark of Fairy Tail? If there was a single thing the members of Fairy Tail loved, it was throwing wild crazy parties. The celebration of the 3 new members into the guild lasted for the rest of the day and far into the night, with most of the members passing out in the building long before they had the chance to drag themselves home. It wasn't until late into the morning that everyone was up and functional again, and thus it wasn't until the early afternoon that Makarov summoned the younger guild members to meet with him. Goku, Urza, Gray, Kana, Levi, and the Strauss siblings gathered together around the old man as he stood atop the bar. So, I hope everyone enjoyed the party last night. Especially since, thanks to certain members here, our food stores are almost completely gone. Makarov gazed around the group, letting out a small snicker at the sheepish cough that followed. Anyways, since you are all here, I've decided to find you guys a little team building exercise. There have been reports of an unknown witch terrorizing a small territory down south known as Camelot. Supposedly this witch has gathered a group of monsters and is terrorizing the town. We've been requested to send a group of 5 mages down there to take care of the situation. I've arranged things so that you will be picked up at the train station in town and driven out to the general area of the witch, that way you won't have to deal with the local ruler. Why do you not want us to deal with the local ruler? Asked Urza, eyebrow raised. Normally when mages went to deal with a threat, the local leader would be the one they would contact. Makarov looked at them for a moment, and then made a face. It wasn't just a scowl, or frown. It was a grimace of utter disgust that perfectly showed his distaste for the subject at hand. Trust me kiddos, he replied, distaste dripping from his tone, you do not want to have to work with the local ruler. In the past I've sent people down to spend a day with him as my absolute worst form of punishment. This punishment has grown so hated over the years, everyone in the guild simply refers to it as that. Until such a time comes around that I actually need to resort to it, you won't have any interaction with him at all. The looks on all of the children varied in different levels of curiosity of fear on what exactly that was. Looking around, Urza was the one to bring up the next point of discussion. Excuse me master, you said that only 5 of us would be going. You have more of us here than you need. If we really only need 5, then there is no real reason for our newer members to come along. Mirajane threw her a look of disgust before throwing a retort. I don't see any real reason that you need to come along. The 3 of us already have a real powerful team on our own, I bet that we wouldn't even need 5 members to get the job done. If the other 2 are really necessary, then we'll take along the 2 boys. The stripper can keep our drinks cool, and I bet Dumbo makes for some good entertainment. Makarov looked down and moaned as the 2 strong-headed girls clashed once again. He expanded his hands to grab onto both girls, slamming them apart and holding them down. Well, one thing is for sure, both of you are going on this mission. Working together, fighting to protect yourselves and those who fight besides you, with any luck you will develop a strong bond. The pair's cries of protest were quickly silenced as the master tightened his grasp, forcing the air from their lungs. No arguments, both of you show true potential to become truly powerful as you mature, and I won't have you doing so as enemies. Now then, all we must do now is determine who will be accompanying you. Kana, I think you would be useful on this mission, we could use someone level-headed enough to potentially keep these 2 from killing each other. Kana squired in her seat, looking down nervously. Actually master, I was hoping to remain at the guild for the next few days. I heard that Guildarts is supposed to be back soon, and I was hoping to be able to see him. That is fine child, I thought that might be your answer. That's why I asked Levi to come here. Levi, would you be willing to fill in for Kana as the group mediator? I would master, but what about Goku? Urza and I were both working on helping him learn to read and write, it wouldn't be very productive to leave and just stop for now. Who knows how long we could be gone, he might end up forgetting everything before we are back. Very well then, Goku may go as well. His eyes shifted to look at the boy, now sporting a wide grin at the opportunity to go on another adventure. I expect you to continue to study hard while you are on the road boy, is that understood? Sure thing, this will be great. Mirajane's look grew darker as the conversation continued, until she finally burst out. What about Lysina and Elfman? If we can only take 5, that means that one of them can't come with us. Makarov looked over the 2 younger members of the trio, focusing mostly on Lysina. I'm sorry about this, but I'm not planning on letting Lysina go on any missions anytime soon. She is a bit younger than the children I normally take in, and while I'm sure you are all experienced, I do not want any accidents to take place. Elfman, you may go if you want, but your sister stays here. I don't like that. I know Mira can take care of herself, but I don't want to leave Lysina by herself. If she isn't going, then I won't be either. Mira Jane opened her mouth to retort, but Elfman was quick to cut her off. You're the strongest of us, Mira. You can do things we can't. One day I want to be strong enough that I can always protect you both, but for now I can only protect Lysina. When we have proven ourselves we will all go together again, but for now we all need to develop our abilities so that we can always have each other's backs. Mira gave a soft smile at her brother, giving him a short but warm hug. Alright bro, you hold down the fort for me, make sure our little sis is safe. I'll take care of this big bad witch, and I'll bring you guys both an awesome story and a souvenir from the trip. Makarov nodded at the pair before turning to face Gray. That leaves you as the last member of this adventure. I trust that you have no urgent matter to take care of outside of finding your shirt. Gray looked down and gritted his teeth to contain a string of curses. He quickly grabbed Kana from her chair and dashed off. Makarov gave a hearty chuckle as the two began crawling around searching under tables. Alright then everyone, the plan is set, and you leave at noon tomorrow. Until then rest up and back your bags, you are all in for quite the trip. Thanks for listening. If you want the next part of this video, be sure to like, subscribe and comment and hit that bell notification. See you next time.